All right.
We'd like to call to order the regular scheduled meeting for the city of Lindsay dated February 14th, 2022. Would you please pray with me? Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this awesome and glorious day, dear Lord, you've given us once again, dear Lord. We ask that you place a wall of protection around the city, dear Lord, and all of its citizens, dear Lord. Dear Lord, we love you so much. We thank you for loving us first. We ask that you give us the wisdom to do the will, to glorify you in your name, dear Lord. Dear Lord, we ask that you watch over all of us. We ask all these things in your Son, most precious and holy name. Amen. Pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Dodson,
Here.
Miller,
Here.
Henderson,
Here.
Hernandez,
Here.
Staggs,
Here.
Citizen comments.
I don't know if you want to hear from me now or later. I don't know what the agenda is.
Cindy, you're actually scheduled to be on the agenda.
Okay, so is it?
Yeah.
Not now.
Not now.
Okay, thank you.
Unless you have something
No,
other than that.
I just have all this.
Okay. Anyone else?
I got more question than anything. I'm Devin Herod. With our bill the other day, we got that notice. It says we're 2 months behind. I do not understand that. I've been here 13 years. I paid my bill every month since I've been here without fail. How are we 2 months behind?
So what that is that's due to the old water and electric meters that we have. Because of the amount of time that it takes physically for those guys to go out and do rereads every month for the meters that aren't working correctly, by the time they get that information back to the girls for them to use that information to calculate the new bills, it's already into the next month. So it's nothing that the customers have done. It is completely an internal issue that we're working through, and once we get the new water and electric meters, it'll instantly be corrected.
So that's all happened since,
It's been that way for 4 years.
yeah, but we got the meters 4 or 5 years ago. Should have been caught up by then.
It's because the meters haven't
I
been
mean, I'm not
working.
trying to argue, I just
No,
didn't
it's because,
understand.
it's because we've had problems with the meters, so the meters haven't been working correctly, so they have to be manually read, which delays the billings from going out at the appropriate time.
Okay, so you're gonna extend the billing for 5, I didn't understand.
So basically,
that
we're adding a day to the billing cycle through Encode to help the billing get caught up. That has nothing to do with the customer side of things at all. It's a completely internal thing that we're correcting
part.
on.
I just didn't see when you add a day, how you ever gonna get caught up.
It has to do with,
Did you do some estimated bills in the interim when they weren't being read? Is that what happened?
No. It's because the amount of time it takes for them to physically manually go out and do all the meters that aren't working correctly, it takes 2 weeks. So by the time they get that information back and the bills are being calculated, they're already into the next month. So it delays the billing cycle. To my knowledge, it's been that way for the past 4 years, but we were just sending out a letter letting everyone know that we were adding an extra day to try to get it caught up. So it's an internal thing through Encode, the billing software that we use, has nothing to do with the customer side of
I
things.
think she's saying that if the cutoff was on one day and now it's a day later than it used to be.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
it's just cutoff day.
Okay,
Yeah,
because
It just has to do with our billing dates. That's all it is. We're
Mom
changing.
watches hers every time the man comes, she goes out and records it, and maybe she'll wanna come up here. Her numbers are not matching what that man is putting down from 2 months ago. They're not right, and they're like that. How many gallon, or how much usage did you have this month? 700, and we had like none last month. See, it's not right.
And that's something that the new meters will 100% fix. It has to do with, right now, so many of them are having to be done manually, and a lot of them that can't get to, they're having to use a scope to see. So there's a lot more chance for human error in the way that we're doing it now. That's why going to these new meters will fix all of these
The
issues.
guy stands in her garage, and her meter is on the far east side of the house. There's no way in the world he can see it. But he's writing numbers down. And I check on him anyway. But she just doesn't want to get hit with a caught-up bill in 3 months that says, no, you did this. It is what it is. It's not right if he's not reading the meters.
Right.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Consent agenda. Discussing consideration and possible action on the consent agenda. Approval of the minutes of the special meeting on January 18th, 2022. Acceptance of the January 2022 financial reports. Acceptance of the payment of the purchase orders issued by the City of Lindsay for the month of January 2022. Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I make a motion we second. Or second it, sorry.
Dodson,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Henderson,
Yes.
Hernandez,
No.
Staggs,
No.
The consent agenda was not approved. We need 4 votes to approve it, and so therefore, the minutes weren't approved, the financial reports weren't approved, and the purchase orders weren't approved. Now, if you want to go back in and consider each item individually, you could do that, but the consent agenda as it is, failed, because it only had 3 votes instead of 4.
Right.
So we're back to paying things.
You two guys over there have something you want to pull out specifically so we can pay the bills and the employees, or what's your thoughts and plans on that?
Do we need to make a motion to approve the minutes first, or?
Yeah, you can go through them one at a time if it's worthwhile to do that.
Okay, I make a motion to approve the A on the consent agenda.
Second.
Dodson,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Henderson,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Staggs,
Yes.
Okay, now we need to make a motion on B. I'll make a motion to approve B.
Second.
Dodson,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Henderson,
Now, is this the time I can ask questions? Well, questions I have is at the end in governing board, so I don't have any questions about the financial report, so yes, yes.
Hernandez,
Say yes.
Staggs,
someone sees our purchase order payments, in particular you wanna pull out that you
Don't wanna pay?
don't wanna pay, or?
I've looked at some investigative audits on a couple cities, and it's just reading from the overview of what, reports they have, it's just, there's a lot of things missing, and I feel that we probably will eventually get a state audit, and I'm just not very comfortable. Maybe we can have a breakdown of maybe more detail of purchase orders or financial statements, but it's just, that's
That's what
why I
the-
voted no.
That's what the financial report is though. It is every PO printed onto a financial report. It's the same information, just on a different report. So we're just talking about 1 month. So is there something within January that you don't want to pay? Because we're not talking about all the previous, we're just talking about January's.
All the POs that are on here.
I have a quick,
Go ahead, Greg.
like the Snap-on credit, has that been on our POs before, or is this something new, or?
So that would have been for the toolbox for the fire department, because
Okay.
Jesse works on his own fire equipment.
Mhm.
So there's a computer that is specially made for fire engines to
Okay.
diagnose them. And
Mhm.
Snap-on is the only one that had the case or whatever to hold this computer equipment in to
Okay.
secure it. So that's why that's on there, is that's a PO from the fire equipment that was
And
already.
this is a new item?
Mhm.
Okay, that's why I was thinking I haven't
Yes.
seen that one before.
Mhm.
Okay. That's the only thing I really have, personally, I didn't see anything that really stands out, so.
What is the OK Uniform Building Code Commission?
Brett, Robin, Brett.
The OK Uniform, page 2.
It's 400-426, is what she's on there.
What is that?
Uniform Building Code Commission, I don't know if that is that. Did you all purchase a new copy of the Oklahoma Uniform Building Code?
Yeah, it's for a book.
That's what that's for.
That's that $40.50.
No, the 426.
Where do you see that?
Oh, yeah, current period, I see.
Yeah, $40, it was for a book.
Yeah, that's what I figured that was. It was for an updated version of the Uniform Building Code. It is $40.50.
Are there any other ones?
On page 2, the Municipal Code Corporation, I guess that's upgrading the Muni Code library. Is that what those charges are for?
What number is that?
What number is it, Greg?
I'm sorry.
What number is that?
Page 3.
Municode is Municode the company
Yes.
that handles your code and makes them available online? That's what
Yeah.
Municode is.
Okay.
So that if anybody wants to look at the ordinances for the city of Lindsay,
You can pull
you
them
can
up.
pull them up online through
Yeah,
Municode,
through the
so they
library.
charge a service fee.
Okay. That's what I thought it was, so.
That is what that is. what we're talking about now, that's where you're gonna have, if you look at the different departments,
Yeah.
what their payroll is.
Can I ask a question, please? The hotel tax, when our budget was prepared, was that governed into the budget? Because that was actually voted on before our budget was prepared.
I don't remember, to be honest with you, I'd have to pull up the budget and see if it was included into that. I don't think it was included into our budget. I think it was something that, we had to send out letters and collect, and we estimated it, but it was never, included in our budget as far as I can remember. I'd have to go back and verify though. I'd have to go back and look,
Good question.
but I'll go back and look on that. But let me figure out what we're gonna do on C.
Any other questions or anything that?
No, she pretty much answered the financial aspects of it all.
Okay. Sorry. Okay, I make a motion to approve C on the consent agenda.
Second?
Dodson,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Henderson,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Staggs,
Yes.
Item 8, discussion and consideration and possible action on bids for bid notice number 2022-02-1, Canine Elite Black Bite Suit, size extra large, with on-bite sleeve.
So I'm requesting that the council rejects item 8 and item 9. And Aaron can talk about this a little bit, but when these went out for bid on our last agenda, there was supposed to have been a minimum reserve put on each one. That was not done correctly, and so we've got about $4,000 worth of equipment, in these two items.
So we need to reject it and go back out for bid with a minimum.
Correct.
The minimum on it.
The minimum on the bite suit was 500 and on the cage was 1,000.
How come there wasn't a minimum put, like on the equipment?
There was supposed to have been, it was an error in the last agenda.
Okay, okay,
Yeah, it was supposed to have been in there.
okay.
I make a motion to object the bid and place a $500 minimum.
Second?
Dodson,
Minimum.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Henderson,
Did you vote? Did you just vote? Okay, I thought you just made the motion. Well, I know it's going to a different department, so,
It's undervaluing it would be a loss for the city of Lindsay to let it go for that cheap.
for that cheap, even though,
Because it should have had, both of them should have had a minimum bid requirement on it. And there was a mistake in preparing the last agenda and that was left out. So if we let them go at the price that was currently bid on them, we would be losing a lot of money because they're valued at $4,000 right now. And the bid was $100 on one item and $400 on another. So that would make our loss quite great. So I would like to reject the bids and rebid them.
and what's the minimum on the cage?
1,000
1,000. I
And
thought
the
that was really low.
and the
Okay.
suit is 500.
Okay.
So we just want to rebid them to public.
Okay, and we're voting on putting it back up for rebid. Yes, with a minimum, yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Staggs,
Yes.
Item 9, discussion, consideration, possible action on bids for bid notice number 2022-02-2, Hager's full K9 insert out of the 2017 Ford Explorer with console and switches for door pop, fan, and door panels.
Make a motion to reject the bid and put it back out, $1,000.
Second.
Dodson,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Henderson,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Staggs,
Yes.
Item 10, discussion and possible action to declare city property surplus or obsolete as per city ordinance 2-305 and authorize the city manager to sell or issue authorization for the sale of surplus or obsolete supplies, materials, or equipment, or to dispose of as authorized by city ordinance. 2013 Ford Explorer vehicle from the police department with over 100,000 miles, VIN ending in 9236.
So I would just like to put that out for bid.
Put it out for bid with a minimum.
Aaron, do you want a minimum?
Yes,
How much?
$3,000.
With a minimum of 3,000.
Okay, I'd like to ask a question if I can. Would we do these bids, is there a way we can, when the person though, that wins, the winning bid can pick it up the next day instead of having to wait 30
It
days?
has to be approved by council before we can, you guys have to accept the bids before we can
Exactly.
turn over the
But
property.
is there a way we can change the dates and the formula? Is there a way you
You'd
can
have to
open
have a
bids
special-
Monday morning and it still be amended to the agenda for Monday night or?
It's too late because everything that goes on the agenda has to be to me by Wednesday, so it can go to the attorney and be reviewed.
Review.
And then
Okay.
put back out, finalized, posted by Friday at 5, and then all the packets have to be prepared. So
Okay.
there's not enough time to add something that late to the agenda to get it approved
Mhm.
and then copied and anything that would need to go with it back out by 5 o'clock.
Mhm.
There's not enough time to get that all done.
Is there a way we can change it, maybe just a week that they have to wait for to pick up the equipment, or?
You'd have to have a special meeting to approve
That's the only way to do it is each time we went out for bid would be to hold a special council meeting to
Mhm.
accept the bids. That's the
Okay.
only way you could do it sooner.
You couldn't open the bids a week before the meeting and then we'll know, next week to accept it or not.
Oh, well, you could set it up so that the bids are open the week before the meeting. Is there some reason you can do that?
No, we can. We just not on previous things because they've already been bid. But going forward, we can align the bid dates to align with our council meeting.
Because I've been told by certain, they'd like to bid on stuff, but they don't wanna wait 30 days to be able to get the item, so. It's the only reason I'm bringing it up.
Which like our bids that went out at our last meeting, we'll open those tomorrow.
Mhm.
So really it's about 3 weeks that they have to wait till they
Do
can
they have to
accept
wait
them.
until
Mhm.
our next meeting to approve or disapprove?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we have a motion for number 10?
Gonna make a motion to surplus the Ford Explorer with a $3,000 minimum, and to take bids on it, and for it to align where we can approve the bids at the next meeting.
My second.
Dodson,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Henderson,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Staggs,
Yes.
Item 11, discussion, consideration, and possible action to waive competitive bidding based on sole source provider exception and authorize the purchase of tasers and body cameras from Axon Enterprise Incorporated in the amount of $139,200.06.
That's over the back.
Correct. It's what we paid. Yes.
Now, we will be leasing this equipment, correct? Okay.
This is over a 5-year.
And this will be paid over 5 years.
Paid out over 5 years, okay. And last month, he spoke about how if something comes to one break, if it breaks, we get it replaced,
Absolutely.
free of charge.
Yes.
I make a motion, we approve.
Second.
Dodson,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Henderson,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Staggs,
Yes.
Item 12, discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve resolution 2022-03, to convert Northwest Sixth Street from a one-way street into a two-way street.
So during this process of Family Dollar coming to town, one of the things that they requested when they started talking to us about this location was the ability for their trucks to turn into that street to unload at the back of their building. Since it was never brought to council to make a two-way street, this is just a formality. We're bringing it back to get you to acknowledge that it is still a two-way street. This would allow Love's and Family Dollar both to access this road.
Which is the city street.
Which is a city street. We've widened the turn radius onto the main road. We're removing the poles that sat there, and we've relocated the school zone light. We're getting ready to clear all that out to allow for wider turns to be made.
So we're gonna go back through and bust out the curb and the concrete and make it wider.
Actually, when Family Dollar was in there, we measured the road, and we have
Mhm.
extra feet there than what our normal 50 feet are.
Mhm.
So what we did was the school zone light that was up there, and there was a pole, we relocated that school zone
Yeah,
light. There's still that yellow concrete there, that'll be busted out.
Mhm.
And there's a pole that's gonna be relocated, and that will allow them to turn with, I don't know if you've lived here for a long time, you know that they always hit that school zone light.
Mhm. It's
That'll
been
allow
wiped
them.
out multiple times.
That'll
They
allow
put,
them.
yeah, until they put up the big concrete. So it's not gonna actually be widened any wider than it is now.
We're just clearing the things so that, well, the road itself, if you go back off of the turn,
Mhm.
is actually wider than 50 feet. But
Mhm.
where the turning obstacle was, they're taking those obstacles out to allow for a bigger, wider turning radius.
My concern, and, Chief April, Aaron, do you have a comment on the traffic pattern? That we know, the trucks it'd be almost impossible for them to turn west during, drive time. I mean, there's not, without wiping out the pole or the curb or.
It's better now than it was when the street, or the school light was there.
Yeah,
They wiped the school light out on how many times?
so do you think it'll
I
cause,
think it would be a good idea to put it back to
you think it'd be a good idea for a two-way or a one-way?
for a two-way.
For a two-way. Okay.
And the two-way street was a stipulation of the building.
But what would happen if we keep it one-way? I mean,
Well, it was
one-way.
never actually legally made one way.
Mhm.
So it technically is a two-way street that we have a one-way sign on. So it was never done by ordinance to make it a one-way. So
Make it one-way.
So it legally is a two-way street, and that's what they validated before they came to build here, was that it was a two-way street.
But we're voting on to make it a one-way street back into a two-way street.
We're wanting to re-acknowledge the fact that it is a two-way street.
Okay. Anything from planning and zoning, or what y'all recommend, or? I just know, so.
Make a thing about the turn west on the truck.
Yeah, it will, yeah. It's gonna cause traffic.
It's gonna cause road rage.
But even if we continue making it one way, we'll still have the customers from Family Dollar getting involved in the truck, trying to make a button to go back west. So,
Essentially, what's gonna happen is me, being a truck driver, if I'm back there, I'm 72 foot long, I'm gonna take the lane, trying not to get out into the highway, my oncoming traffic. I'm gonna try to swing as wide as I can. I'm gonna be up against Sonic, trying not to get into the eastbound lane. And Grandma Megan's gonna be coming to the Dollar Tree, and we're gonna be head on. Who do you think's gonna win?
mhm.
Hopefully the Dollar
There's
Tree
people
will
point out that does that very thing right now, every day.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna be the one that creates road rage, cause I'm gonna swing into that eastbound lane.
Yeah. So, and that's, I'm sorry, but truck drivers are stupid.
Yeah.
You know, I can say that. 'cause
Don't
I'm a
take that
truck
personal,
driver.
Brent.
And, you know,
Over the
Don't take that
road.
personal.
I'm just trying not to agree with her.
That's why he's sitting on the end of the queue.
But, you know, and it's a lose-lose situation.
It's, if we don't do it, we declare that it's one way, we're gonna force Dollar Tree to drive on Lowe's
Okay.
property.
My question is. Right. Okay, well, my question is, did the city of Lindsay change that for Lowe's?
If it was never brought to council and done legally.
And that's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, and I don't know, cause that was before I was here, but all I know that it was never made one way by ordinance, so legally it's still a two-way.
Right.
Who
But
paid for all the
It seems
services
to me
before?
that it's an agreement that goes further back than Love's, and it was a Sonic guilt. They wanted it to be.
But I don't know on that.
Mhm.
They don't, cause they use it to park right there.
That's what I was gonna say, they're gonna lose parking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know, it's a
It's a part
lose-lose.
of why that agreement was there,
So, you know, it just,
It's kinda like, I mean, we have to recognize it back as a two-way, it's kinda like being common law married. You never really gonna get married, but if you wanna separate, you really need to get a divorce.
right, so it's just, and you know, a lot of the trucks that come through there that do go through Love's is 85 foot long, maybe they're taking their part and everybody else's. This one, that Grandma Megan's gonna go to Dollar Tree.
And I would think that the Dollar Tree traffic, once they get stocked, they're not gonna have trucks in and out all day.
No, but Grandma
It'll be,
Megan's more.
it'll be,
Well,
Once or
pretty light.
they've got another opening there for customers too.
Once or twice a week.
Right.
So could y'all make that just a truck entrance only?
Not in the
no, but I
city.
still use it.
Well, and you know, it's just a kind of,
Catch 22.
it is a catch-22.
Ideally, we could take the road straight on north through the trailer park and have another,
Absolutely. There you go. Who's gonna find that one? I mean, it's just,
that would be ideal, but
but, you know, it's, and I can tell you, it's hard to even with it being a two-lane, to get out on that highway.
Mhm.
Our truck yard, that's where we come out on that highway. Cause Lord, I sat there for 10 minutes and then I finally.
If I need to put a stoplight up there, I think we should do a traffic pattern.
So it's just a lose-lose.
Yeah.
And they're talking about even legalizing the length of trucks. What is it, still 53 foot?
No.
Now they're trying to go
No,
57?
My truck and trailer's
57 for the
But I mean the trailer.
57
Yeah,
for
the
the
trailer.
trailer and unlimited
Yeah.
overall.
So, you know,
It's like the Goldsby Lowe's, it's just a bad intersection to try to get in and out of.
so, you know, that's just the truck driver's standpoint on it. But
Mhm.
if it was never legally changed into a
Also, if
two-way,
it goes back to two-lane, it's gonna create a lot of confusion for quite a while for people that's got used to it being one.
Mhm.
We gotta make a motion on that.
yeah, I make a motion to approve it two lane.
And to your knowledge, is there any existing stipulation in the contract with Sonic that he had that on?
But Lowe's did pay to have all that rebuilt and
Rebuilt.
resurfaced. And I know they had to deal with Sonic, they had to put in them a parking lot for employees. But I don't think anything was in the contract or written there.
It was just part of redoing it to have it
So-
rated weight enough for the trucks.
Put the diesel lights.
Second.
Dodson,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Henderson,
No.
Hernandez,
No.
Staggs,
No.
So what happens when you speak that if it was never made up on that?
Well, you know, if it was never made a one-way.
By resolution?
It should have been done, it should have been made a one-way by ordinance.
Right, and it was never.
And it was never done by
We just-
ordinance, so if you all wanna make it one-way, but you need to come back and do an ordinance that makes it one-way, since it was never properly done as one-way.
So as it stands after this motion fails, it's still legally.
Still legally a two-way until you come in with an ordinance to make it one-way. Now, keeping in mind, I'm just taking your word for it, I haven't done
That part.
research or
Right, right.
looking into it or not. But if it was never properly made a one-way, then it's legally still a two-way until you come in and you do an ordinance that converts it into a one-way.
Correct. So I would
And
just.
you all can do that, but it needs to be done right if you're gonna do it.
This is
Right now,
something,
you've got like, it's ambiguous now because it's legally, it's a
Two-way with a one-way sign.
two-way with a one-way sign, so if you've got somebody going the wrong way on it,
Mhm.
and you can't get them a proper citation because it was never properly
Made a
changed
one-way.
over to a one-way, and so that's gonna make it impossible for you to properly.
Now, Family
Then-
Dollar also has an argument because they're saying it was never made a one-way.
why was it brought to a resolution? I mean, if it was never officially done, then that could have been changed.
Yeah, because the attorney told me that she wanted to do it the proper way and bring it to council to have it recognized, because it wasn't done correctly the first time.
Okay,
She
to have
wanted
it
me to bring it
recognized.
back and have it done correctly.
Okay.
Because because of the confusion it creates
Mhm.
when you have something that wasn't, you know, properly done, then it creates confusion, and when you start dealing with, traffic situations, then, you really can't enforce your traffic pattern.
Mhm.
Now, can Family Dollar come in and say, we wouldn't have agreed to come here if we had known you were gonna make this one-way street? I don't
Mhm.
know, I don't know what kind of agreements you entered into with them, or whether they would back out, that's something I just don't know about.
They wanted a two-way.
And this was brought to planning and zoning three months ago. I mean, so I'm just,
Well, planning and zoning
mhm.
doesn't decide
Exactly, they
whether
just,
there's
they're
gonna be a one-way or a
recommends,
two-way.
yeah,
They recommended you approve what
so.
for the Family Dollar?
It was just brought up if, you know, that, and I think they tabled it till they had future plans, or could see the actual plans for Dollar, Family Dollars was planned. So,
And again, so you potentially have an issue with Family Dollar, but this needs to be cleaned up one way or another. You need to, if it's gonna be a one-way street, you need to have an ordinance that makes it a one-way street. If you don't have one, and I'm assuming that you're correct that there isn't one.
mhm.
And Amanda probably recommended that you bring it back in with a resolution, just to clear up any confusion, because a resolution is not the way you'd make a one-way street anyway.
Okay.
Item 13, discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve resolution 2022-04, amending the Lindsay Police Department policies and adopting Lexipol policies. Lexipol. Make a motion to approve.
My second,
Dodson,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Henderson,
yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Staggs,
Yes.
Item 14, discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve a lease agreement between the City of Lindsay and the Lindsay Community Historical Society for the operation of the Murray Lindsay Mansion.
And the changes that we made was just to add the insurance to the structure of the building.
Item 5, the city shall maintain adequate liability insurance on their premises. The society shall maintain adequate replacement cost value property insurance coverage on the structure and premises.
What I asked was that the city would, I was told that the city would cover liability and on the building. The way that reads, it sounds like we will cover on the structure.
Yeah, that's what I was told, that's what it reads that way.
And that's something we want to do. We don't own the structure.
So it's just the wording, we just need to amend this to the city.
I'd like to amend it where the city shall maintain adequate liability insurance on the premises and liability insurance,
Thank you.
Property insurance.
on property insurance. Is that good, Sean?
Yes.
So that sounds right.
So I make a motion to approve it with those amendments.
Second.
Dodson,
Yes?
Miller,
Yes.
Henderson,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Staggs,
Yes.
Item 15, discussion, consideration, and possible action to waive the quote process on the basis of the sole source provider exception and authorize the city to enter into a contract with IMSAR for the maintenance of the MS cots.
These are our same company we use every year. They come in once a year and they service all of the cots at EMS.
Make a motion to approve the contract.
Second.
Dodson,
Yes?
Miller,
Yes.
Henderson,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Staggs,
Yes.
Item 16, discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve and update the City of Lindsay Employees Handbook to include the City of Lindsay Wellness Policy.
So the wellness policy is a policy that was written for the City of Lindsay employees. It talks about ways to eat healthier, exercise, ways to quit smoking, all of those kinds of things that will reduce our overall insurance costs, that kind of thing. But by adopting the City of Lindsay wellness policy, what this does is it helps us secure grants in the future. So I'm personally working on a TSET grant right now. The deadline, it opens up on March 1st and it closes on March 15th. This is one of the prerequisites for that TSET funding. For that grant is that we have adopted a city wellness policy, so that's why we've created one and brought it to council. If you guys can adopt this, then that qualifies us to apply for the TSET grant.
For like TSAT and other,
Correct.
Make a motion to approve.
how much is this gonna cost the city to put on a program like this? Or is this-
Nothing.
Nothing.
How much is the grant?
Well, it depends. There's bronze, silver, and gold. They're all at different tiers. You apply for all of them, and depending on a number of criteria, they decide which one you fall into. It's not a matching grant, it's a regular grant, but then of course, it's for things that are for healthy initiatives, like walking paths, playground equipment, that kind of stuff. So the two things that we're trying to go after in the grant is a walking path that connects the city park to the school, and some playground equipment that is focused more for adults and for exercise. So those are the two things that we're going after. This was a prerequisite to have in place in order to apply for the grant.
Any benefits with health insurance provider having
So-
anything like this, or?
So once we adopt this policy, then we can qualify for different discounts.
Okay. Second,
Dodson,
Yes?
Miller,
Yes.
Henderson,
yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Staggs,
Yes.
Item 17, presentation by Citizen Craig Hughes regarding the City of Lindsay license plates.
You guys get, all see that?
They're all in the packets.
So, the last month when y'all talking about getting the tasers and stuff, and that all costs money, I'm like, well, let's raise some money. And I kinda knew about this program, so I looked into it, and this is printed right off the Oklahoma Tax Commission's website. It's pretty simple, there's two ways to do it. I think the simplest way is just pre-sale 200. That's $4,000 a year that goes to this revolving fund that I'm hoping y'all set up some kind of committee to set this up, and I'm out of it. I made the design, I think it's pretty cool. It's called Leopards. Let's equip our police and rescue department safely. And the one thing I'm not sure on, I know it's 200 minimum, but I think after that it may go live, and anybody in the state of Oklahoma can see this cool design and put it on their vehicle. So what if 10,000 Okies put that on their car? I know it's ambitious, but that's $200,000 a year that the city of Lindsay could use for the rescue guys and first responders, or whatever we set it up. And that's really all I have on it. I talked to the Belknaps, they're better graphic designers than I am, and they'll go on Adobe Illustrator and put this completely to specs. Or we can come up with another design, or whatever, and we'll make it fun however we want to. And so maybe we start a citizen committee, I don't know what it is, to look forward and get this done. And
Because a percentage of this comes back to.
well, it's $35 to buy a tag, 15 to the state, I'm sure that's for materials and processing, but 20 to the cause. So that's why if we did the minimum of 200, that's 4,000 every year. And I've got 2 cars, and I'll buy 2 of them because I think they're pretty cool. So.
And then the KIC committee will earmark where the funds.
Well, I think that'd be up for you guys to decide and govern, or, you know, how the money's spent wisely and correctly. And
I don't know if everybody got to see it, but I mean,
I've got some.
I would buy one.
There's some stickers here for everybody to look at and take, and it's just, you know, design. And like I say, maybe we'll come up with the best design, so you can outdo me, but good luck. Mine's pretty cool.
Do we need to make a motion to form a committee on it, or look further into it, or what's the next step?
It's not an action item.
It's not an action
We
item.
can't take action because it's just a presentation.
Just a presentation. Okay.
I think a group of citizens can just form a committee and come up with a plan that present it to council to take action on.
Yeah. I don't know if y'all know somebody that wants to take that over and do it, but I think it's a great idea.
Well, that's all, we have to stay on top of it, and let's see if we can get it done.
All right, thanks.
Benefit.
Thank you, Craig. Item 18, presentation by citizen Cindy Robbins regarding trash per city ordinance 535, section 8-60, section 8-62, section 8-63, and section 8-27 for the duration of 5 minutes.
Is it okay if I pass these out?
Yes, ma'am.
I just made some. Okay, so you guys know who I am, and starting with the top page. And I don't know about those ordinances. I'm assuming that Josh set that up. But, so, we're gonna start with this top page. I want to also prove and show you that I am being harassed. The Geffreys are being harassed. I am personally. So this top one is a copy of my check that went through the city. And this, as you can see on there, it says mowing for 208 Quapaw. Mowing, $406. And it is not a large space. It is just a regular lot. And Kathy said they needed 2 trailers, I don't know how many men, and 2 lawnmowers, and God knows what else that I was charged for. So, that was in 2018. So this just builds and builds and builds. Okay, so, then in 2018, I opened the rooms for rent, and I was told by John, Moorhead and Darren Hayden that I needed a certificate of occupancy. I got it all done. They said I was good. And I did everything that they told me to do. It was good. And then in 2020, I was told I need a certificate of occupancy again. And this time it was with Dustin and the other police chief, Clint. And it could be at the end of 2020. So I jumped through the hoops again, and come to find out it was because of somebody in town that complained about my place and said I didn't have a certificate of occupancy. And Kathy looked on the books, and sure enough, I don't have a certificate of occupancy, but I did. It just wasn't mentioned, wasn't completed, I guess. And nobody here, well, I don't know how many people were here at that time, and apparently there's a lot of things that happen that y'all don't know about. I gave you a copy of this notice that's dated Tuesday, February 16th, for our appliances that are an attractive nuisance. Appliances stacked up on south side of property. It is believed these could cause a hiding spot for rodents, and as well as a spot where thieves could steal items. There are items. Okay, but get it, they're gonna steal our items. Okay, so, I believe the next thing, is the next, yeah, the picture. So you can see, we have, in that picture, the top one shows mattresses there and also appliances. Those mattresses look pretty bad, but you know, y'all passed that the Waste Connection wouldn't pick up those large items from businesses. So what are we supposed to do with them? Well, we have several houses around Lindsay, and we put them around Lindsay in front of those houses. But that's really unfair for businesses to not be able to have Waste Connections take off that large stuff. Well, then the bottom picture you can see are appliances. They're pretty nice, they're stacked up, they're in neat order. Okay, so they come on, they being 3 trailers with the city employees. You see the next one is our invoice, dated March 8th. So they came and they got all of our 50 appliances that were out there that we use for parts. We fixed them, we put them back out into into the community, and they took them, stole them. And the chief of police was there, and also the code enforcement officer. And I complained, but all I could do was bring this down here, and I thought everybody knew about it. But apparently not everybody knew about it. So Kathy gave me a insurance form to fill out, which I did, and then I haven't heard anything. Well, so then I get a call from the code enforcement officer now, Brad, about a piece of property that isn't even ours. So I take time out of my day and go down there and talk to him about it, and just visit with him a little bit, and he says, I didn't have anything to do with that. I didn't have anything to do with those appliances being taken. Oh, I see there, you have pictures, yeah. That's different. So, I didn't have, he didn't have anything to do with it. And so, fine. The next thing I know, I get this on January 18th that you have, that our appliances are being tagged, and they're being tagged as trash. Now, if our appliances are trash, why are people stealing stuff off of our appliances? I mean, come on, it doesn't make any sense. It says, on this page right here, it says that trash is any matter or form which is uncared for, discarded, or abandoned, and none of that is on our appliances. We have not abandoned them, they are not uncared for, and they are not discarded. They are ours. Okay, so then I sent all of y'all that letter. Here's my letter, and I showed you, and I showed everybody that here, and I sent them to businesses, and I sent them to people, and they resurrected 60-year-old airplanes, and they were considered not any good, and now all of a sudden they're good again. So I don't know why anybody would go after our appliances. They're not doing anything but helping us and not hindering anybody else. So as time has gone on, people have said, you really need to go out there to where your appliances landed, because I didn't know where they went. For a while, they told me they went out there, and I assumed that they were like that first picture. They were lined up, they were nicely put out. But no, here's the next picture. They are behind the police station right now. And so I have this picture, so you can see that is the police station. And the next picture you see is what they look like. They're trashed. So we can't even take them back and use them. So the $25,000 worth of appliances is just trashed by our city. And I just can't believe it. As soon as I saw that, I was just, wow, what a waste. And I'm not a waster. I do not, as you can tell, we don't waste anything. We've been in business since 1956. And one of the reasons why we are still here is because we do not waste, we recycle, we refurbish. Okay, so the next thing is I get another letter after that letter, and I didn't give that to you. I get a letter from Brad, and as you can tell, it has red writing on it. Red. What does red mean? Red is mad. I'm just like, wow. So now our property has been tagged for the violations. And I don't know if you have this paper, you've had it before, but so it's on section 5-27, specific amendments to the International Property Maintenance Code. So I go and look at the International Property Maintenance Code, and there's absolutely nothing on there about appliances. But on y'all's amendment, you have appliances down here at 302-11 appliances, household appliances such as washers, dryers, stoves, refrigerators, and similar appliances designed for inside use shall not be stored outside in yards or on porches. That is not a yard, that is our yard. It is, I guess you could call it a porch. And then it goes on about air conditioners out there. But they're not, this is made by y'all. This is made by the city council. It is not on this International Property Maintenance Code anywhere. And I've got, so then I thought,
We don't follow the international.
well,
code.
y'all sure do reference it.
Okay.
So why do you reference it?
We have our own codes.
Then it shouldn't be referenced, but that's, okay, beside the point. All of these are amendments to the international code. So why would you amend something that you don't use?
When's the reference date?
This was what Brad sent to me.
When's the reference date?
I looked at the code from 2021 online. I couldn't get any pictures because I don't have the ability to do that. I couldn't print it off.
Okay.
And I don't know when all of these are. This is code 1980, paragraph 8, 27, ordinance number 489, paragraph 3, section 10, 13, and then that says 2014, and then at the end it says 1/13/2020. And I would like to know, which I hope I can find out, when each one of these were instituted.
You can tell the number, like 1980, that will be the year in which that ordinance was enacted. If that's properly, I don't know what you're looking at.
Well, there's 3 dates on here.
But when, if you look
10/13/2014 and 1/13/2020.
10/13/2013, if you look at look at Municode and you look at the code ordinances, at the end of a code provision, it'll have in parentheses the year into which it was enacted. And that's what that is, that's the year in which it was enacted.
When did you quote that he sent you?
Now what?
What was the ordinance you said that he sent you about the appliances?
It says paragraph 302-11. And it states, the International Property Maintenance Code shall be amended as follows. So if you don't follow it, why are you amending it? That doesn't make any sense to me.
What you're saying doesn't make any sense.
Well-
We amended it, so we're not using it.
Right, whenever, there are different uniform codes that are out there.
I looked at
The
them.
cities and towns can come in and they can adopt the whole code, or they can adopt parts of the code and enact their own provisions, which it sounds like that's what. you're talking
Exactly,
about.
that is exactly what I want to get out of y'all. That's a tyrannical government to come and take my property, our property, that you think is not, you think is trash, you think is what is that? The nuisance that would attract rodents or thieves or whatever. That's what the city is doing. And I went over these, and there's a lot of tyranny in here. A lot of it.
Saying I don't know why they were taken. I can assume that, I think it's in the late seventies or early eighties, they passed state laws saying that those kind of appliances that have a door on them, they had a lot of children getting locked in and suffocating to death. They either had to be locked or the lids
That's
taken,
what
the
the
doors
term
taken off.
attractive nuisance, the term attractive nuisance
That-
is a legal term that it can attract children who may be injured and
And
harmed.
I don't know, cause I'm not involved in all this deal, but I'm assuming that's where it's coming from.
Okay, the refrigerators are not made like that anymore, and haven't been for decades. That was whenever the refrigerators had a latch on them. They haven't had latch on them for decades.
But the laws haven't changed.
Oh, yeah, they have. Yeah, they have. Okay, so, there you go. I want you to see the last pictures that I put in there. That is from today. Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City. And here's a nice one. Toilets. Toilets in front. But the appliances that are, some people I've talked about my appliances, they're like, where are they at? I can't even see them. I didn't even know they were there. There are lots of things that need to be changed, and I do not think our appliances are an attractive nuisance. I said, look for the mice, look for the rats, because they're not there. They're not there. They don't leak anything. They are advertising for us, and they help us, and they help the community. The meat locker just went in there, and they have not complained one time. As a matter of fact, they're one of our best customers.
I just wondered how it would affect their business.
Mhm.
That's what I was asking.
Yeah. So be concerned about theirs, but don't be concerned about ours.
Oh, I am concerned about yours
Oh,
as
yeah,
well.
right, you are, because it's been since you've been here that this has all happened. And they all said, I'm just following orders.
I plan on enforcing all of the city ordinances, absolutely. That's my
Well, I
job.
think this ordinance needs to be changed, because it can be, because it comes from the city of Lindsay and not from an international code, because it's not from an international code.
And the ordinances are completely set by council, so there are several of them that could possibly be updated. But
Well, it
my-
looks like a lot, and I'm gonna take issue with another one, right here. Paragraph 302-4, I know you want me to shut up, 302.4.1, and it says, property owners abutting alleys shall be responsible for mowing and cleaning the alley. Are you kidding me? We are responsible for cleaning the alleys, because I have been tagged for that too. And that's our taxpayer money that should
That
be
actually
used.
is normal.
Huh?
That, basically, that is a normal provision that cities have for the property owners to keep the alleys clean behind their house. Whether right or wrong, I'm just telling you that that's not unique to the, city.
Well, it's interesting, my mother's never had to clean her alley up on Olive, between Olive and Francis. They don't do it, there's fences between them.
But that's because no city manager over the past no one has enforced those ordinances and codes. And that's why they're so
You will have an
lax.
uproar, people are not going to mow their alley whenever there
Yeah,
are
there's-
people, when we pay for the lawnmowers for the city. Taxpayers pay for the lawnmowers, why aren't they using it to mow the alleys? Because they do.
We mow a lot, but the alleys aren't part of our responsibility.
That's not part of your responsibility?
Not for the city ordinances, it's not, no.
Well, I think that we need to bring that up and to the city, and we need to let everybody know that that's a violation of our taxpayer money, and I think it could be used a lot better.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you.
Item 19, governing board comments.
What do we need to do to resolve this? Yeah, please.
That's an administrative issue.
Yes, and
Unless you wanna rewrite the ordinances.
we can rewrite ordinances or make resolutions, but administrative duties, we can't get involved in.
But you'll need to take action at a subsequent meeting because.
There's no action on this
There's no
item.
action item on it, it's just a presentation. But, if you determine that there's action that needs to be taken, then, you can you can amend, the city can amend ordinances as long as the ordinances can't conflict with state law, but other than that, it can't conflict with your charter, but other than that, you can amend any ordinances you want to amend.
Okay.
I'd like to make a comment regarding this. These appliances that the Jeffries use or have had in their possession, parts that have come off these appliances can possibly be used on other appliances that can be fixed. So consequently, their property has been destroyed of parts that they can use to fix another problem, another appliance. And at the cost of things changing like they are daily, and especially with citizens in this city being elderly people living on a fixed income, if it can cost them under $100 to get an appliance fixed using a spare part off of another appliance, what's wrong with it?
Absolutely nothing, but that's not the issue. The issue is we have to enforce the ordinances that the city council creates. So the city council at some point over the years has made ordinances, and until those ordinances are changed, it's my job to make sure those ordinances are enforced.
Okay,
So
let
the
me ask
issue
you
is not-
something,
the issue is-
Rebecca.
excuse
Did
me.
you ever, no,
Excuse me.
you let me finish.
I was speaking.
Did you ever think of going to the Jeffries and ask them what we can do to fix this problem, to address this, instead of somebody being yanked out of their livelihood?
This has been going on for over a year, and these are ordinances that have been in place since the 80s. My job is to make sure that the ordinances are followed. That is the extent of my job, is to
At
make
the
sure the
extent of
ordinances.
costing business owners.
If they don't comply with the ordinances that the city council sets, absolutely, but the city manager's job is to make sure that what you guys put in place is followed. That's my job. So if you don't like the ordinances that are in place, you need to rewrite the ordinances, and then I'll enforce what ordinance that you replace it with.
So are we going around to all the business yards and they're having to come up to code or ordinances? Is that what's going on every yard?
Yes.
Every business?
Every
commercial?
ordinance in the city of Lindsay, I'm trying to enforce, correct?
Mhm.
Because that's my job. That's what you hire a city manager to do, to enforce the ordinances that the city council creates. I don't create the ordinance, I enforce them.
Mhm.
That's the extent of my job. So if you don't like the ordinance, then you guys need to change the ordinances. I didn't write them.
Mhm.
Governing board comments?
And that's what I was gonna bring up, but not during the financials, because we're at, February, and the financial statement is, January 31st. So we're what, halfway in the fiscal year?
We are currently halfway through the fiscal year,
Okay.
correct?
So how, my concern, just to bring up, everything looking, are we on track for every department? Are we on track for revenue? Everything's looking good at this
Well,
point?
that's something I can't answer you right now because I haven't had a chance to look through every single, I can't speak on that.
Mhm.
So that's something that I would have to look at and then get with you at a later time and discuss those departments. But I haven't reviewed the budget prior to this meeting in
Okay.
detail to speak about that.
Because it looks like we're really good on sales tax, but there's, a few other items that we might be a little bit behind, but
Yes.
everything's on track to.
Well, if you're talking about just revenues,
Mhm.
but if you're asking me about expenditures and revenues, I can't answer that yet because I haven't looked at each department in detail to speak on that.
If you look at the departments, for example, if you look on, I just looked over to,
Mhm.
so where you see it on, where you see the police department?
Mhm.
It has the police department budget at $1,270,748, and then you go over to the end, and it has the budget balance of $632,613. So you can see that that's about half.
Exactly,
But if you go
exactly.
through and you just
Mhm.
look at the budget and then look at the budget balance. You know, at 50% through the year, that's the easiest time to kind of look and
Okay.
see. It looks like it's balancing out.
And that's why I was thinking about bringing it up, because, that way, is there anything that's, popping up that we need to, or that you need to take a look at to make sure we stay in line, or everything's just looking.
We're tracking like we should be tracking as
Exactly.
far as, if you look at where we've tracked in the previous years, like last year, we're tracking
There's
along
just
with
no-
that. But as far as detailed per department, I'd have to look at that, but we're
Okay.
tracking about where we did last year.
But no shortfalls or
No.
nothing good, okay. And another thing I'd like to bring up while we're still on the city side, where'd Daryl go? Do we have a communications person? Do we have, what are we gonna do with our Facebook page, our city page?
What do you mean?
People are complaining constantly that none of the comments can be read. There's people that live out of state that comments.
That's something that's a Daryl question, because he's the administrator of our Facebook page.
That's why I was
So-
wanting to bring it up to him, but, how does that work, Mr. Mayor? It's an official city page, correct?
Correct.
We have to have that information on there, and we have to have where they can communicate on there, correct?
We don't have to allow any citizen comments. Here, it's legally, as far as that goes on a city Facebook page, we
Mhm.
don't have to allow any comments, but if we've already allowed comments, then we can't not allow them. So since there's been comments made, we
Mhm.
can't not allow them to be made in the future.
Okay.
But that's all, as far as the legalities and how that works, that's not something that I do or I'm a part of, that's Daryl's the one that runs our Facebook page.
Okay, and we don't have a communications director?
No.
Okay.
We don't
Just
have
like
it in the
tonight's
budget.
meeting was never put on the Facebook page. I'm sure it's put on the website, but not.
Yeah, it was on the website.
So, I'm just curious if we can bring more.
I would love to have a communications director, but we don't have the budget for it.
So there's not employees extra 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day that can.
Well, if we missed the meeting, it was just an error. We missed it on Facebook to put it on there, because as you can tell, Lisa's here instead of Kathy, so
Mhm.
she's learning a new job. So if we missed that, that was just an error. That's not something we normally have it on Facebook.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
I don't specifically recall us ever adopting a Facebook page.
But it's never had to be, no. We've always put it on our website, we post it at City Hall and at the council chambers, and then it gets emailed out on our agenda.
So Facebook is basically a courtesy page?
Correct, correct.
Okay. The legal page is
The
the
city
website?
website, correct.
Okay.
That's where our agenda's posted, that's where the minutes are at, our code, everything's on that page.
Okay. That's all I have on going forward.
Anyone else? Item 20, city manager comments.
No.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Dodson,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Henderson,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Staggs,
Yes.
I'd like to call to order the regular scheduled meeting for Lindsay Public Works Authority dated February 14th, 2022. Roll call, please.
Dodson,
Here.
Miller,
Here.
Henderson,
Here.
Hernandez,
Here.
Staggs,
Here.
Consent agenda. Item A, approval of the minutes of the special meeting on January 18th, 2022. Acceptance of January 2022 financial reports. Acceptance of the payment of the purchase orders issued by the Lindsay Public Works Authority for the month of January 2022. Just see any POs on this one that need to be looked at.
we only collected 14 cents on the Freedom Fest revenue?
No, that's not correct. That's for the month, so it's probably something that came in another month. It's just
When do we expect the figures on that between Freedom Fest and Fall Fest?
we can get those for you.
Do you want to go ahead and make a motion to approve?
It would help if they do this before we got here.
And do you wanna do a motion to approve A and B and then take this out, or do you wanna do a motion to
Do them all.
do them all? I mean, the first item is A, the approval of the minutes. If this isn't gonna be done as a consent agenda, then, it needs to be done individually, like we did before, so.
I'm hoping they can look over and if there's no issues, take them
Okay.
all.
The only thing I see different is the flooring, and that was for the depot, correct?
Correct.
For the,
Yeah, we took the
German
asbestos
government.
tiles out of there that were all coming loose and repaired it.
and the windscreen bill at the pool, but I'm sure we'll, did that get caught up on the bill, or?
It's just that monthly, we pay it monthly. Are you talking about the internet bill?
It just says windscreen.
Yeah, it's just paid monthly.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
A second.
Dodson,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Henderson,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Skaggs,
Yes.
Item 5, discuss consideration and possible action to approve the Myers Engineering contract for the water treatment facility improvements backwash lagoon project.
This is to re-engineer the wastewater out of our lagoon system. They've been working on it for months, trying to come up with a new solution for the DEQ, and this was the engineering solution that we need to modify our backwash system to do to be compliant with the Department of
I make a motion to approve the
Environmental
contract.
Quality.
Who's doing the actual work on that? This is just the engineering part of it.
So we have, there's two different, people that come down and use the engineering specs that work on that facility. They're the only two that are, they're the same two that have always worked on our facility.
Mhm.
So Myers, it drafts the engineering for the work that needs to be done, and then they come down and we contract it out and they do it.
DEQ has to approve.
This
Yeah.
before we can have the work done.
Exactly.
Second.
Dodson,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Henderson,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Skaggs,
Yes.
Discussion, consideration, possible action on bids for the bid notice number 2022-02 agricultural hay mow lease and Lindsay Municipal Airport.
So we'd like the council to accept the bid from Larry Jackson for $3,500 for the agricultural mow lease. It was the highest bid.
The highest, and we had a minimum, I believe, on it, okay. I'll make a motion to approve.
Do they have to have liability insurance, don't they?
Correct.
And we got a copy of,
Not yet, you have to accept his bid first.
okay.
Once you accept his bid, then we'll get the copy of his insurance.
I second.
Dodson,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Henderson,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Staggs,
Yes.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Dodson,
Yes.
Miller, Henderson,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Staggs,
Yes.